All right, everybody, welcome into another episode of the College Court Report podcast. It is Tuesday, January the 30th. This podcast usually comes out on Mondays, but sometimes life gets in the way and you need to kind of move things around a little bit. So here we are, a day late on Tuesday. It's myself, Tyler Bennett, as always. Going to look at the last 7 days in the college basketball world, look at some of the big stories. We're going to dive into one of the teams from the Summit League who many projected to be a top contender in the league coming into the season, and they kind of had an up and down non-conference slate, and then they struggled through their first 5 games of conference play, but have since turned it around and have a 3-game winning streak. We'll look at them. We're going to look at the level of parity, if you will, in college basketball and look at every conference in a nutshell. And in particular, a game from Saturday that saw the last team without a win pick up their first victory of the season against a top contender in their conference, no less. So we'll look at that game from Saturday evening. But first, we're going to turn our attention to the latest top 25 rankings. And again, no surprise to really anybody, Villanova, number 1 in the country, received 47 first-place votes. They did lose Phil Booth to a broken hand, which will impact their depth, and depth, I think, was already the biggest issue for the Wildcats this season, but time will tell how that factors into their whole season outlook. But right now, Villanova is the team to beat. I don't think there's any denying that. But then you got number 2. You've got the Virginia Cavaliers, who lead the ACC, coming off a big win on the road over Duke, who remained at number 4, surprisingly. You figure that, yeah, they lost to the number 2 team by 2 points. You think they would drop a little bit, but hey, I'm not a voter. I don't have a say in this thing. You've got Duke at 4, but Virginia is they've really turned a lot of heads this season. And whenever Tony Bennett is the coach of the Cavaliers, you cannot rule them out of anything. Defense is their calling card. They don't score a lot of points, but they don't allow many points either. So you don't need to score a lot when you don't give up a lot. As simple as that sounds, it's really all you need to say. Their only loss came against West Virginia on the road, lost by 7, 68-61. That's crazy. They've just rattled off a ton of wins. It's really remarkable to watch. It really is. They haven't allowed a team. They haven't allowed a team to score more than 70 points on them all season. And mind you, they've only scored above that a few times themselves. Like in their last 7 games, they haven't scored more than 68 points. But here they are at 20-1. Their scoring offense ranks 291st in the country at 69 points a game. An even 69 as well, which is a great number. They're allowing 52 points a game. 52. That's incredible. They just held number 18 Clemson to 36 points. Held Wisconsin to 37 earlier in the season. Defense wins championships. They're 2.5 games up in the ACC. Louisville has a game in hand behind them at 6-2. You've got Duke and Clemson at 6-3. 3 teams at 5-4, 3 more teams at 4-4. They're running away with this conference through 9 games. And nobody has really shown that they can stop them. Their closest game in conference play was against Boston College, 59-58. A Boston College team who beat Duke. Virginia will be number 1 at some point this season. Whether they keep pace with Villanova and just simply overtake them, or Villanova loses and Virginia will be number 1. It's really been an incredible season. You've got Purdue at number 3, who received 1 first place vote this week, 21-2, the top team in the Big Ten at 10-0. That train just keeps on rolling down the tracks, and nobody really can stop them, and that's okay. February 10th. Circle that one on your calendars. Michigan State hosts Purdue. If all goes according to plan, that'll be a top 5 matchup. That's must-see TV. And that game is to be determined for a time, so you can bet that that'll be a primetime game. That'll be a big, marquee, nationally televised game on a Saturday, either first thing right at noon in the afternoon, or it's going to be a late night 7 o'clock game. That'll be one you want to see. And amidst all of their off-court distractions with the sexual abuse allegations and sexual misconducts, what have you, they've continued to play strong basketball, the Spartans. They've won 4 straight. They were behind against Maryland by 13, I think, at half last game. They put up 50 in the second, won by 6. They haven't really shed a whole lot of light into their off-court allegations. Izzo has come out and said that he has participated in every what's the word? He will continue to cooperate in any investigation that will come about, and he has participated in every investigation so far, but they haven't really said much. Mark D'Antonio said they were false, which is not a good move, especially early on. Magic Johnson came out today and says that he wants accountability at Michigan State, and I couldn't agree more. He called for the firing of anybody at Michigan State who had previous knowledge of sexual misconduct incidents on campus but failed to act. And apparently the NCAA and Mark Emmert themselves knew as early as 2010 but didn't do anything. So this is going to be an absolute shit show with the Larry Nassar, however you pronounce his name. He doesn't deserve to have it pronounced correctly. He should have his prison number, his inmate number. That's what he should be known as by now. With 175 years in prison, then you've got the allegations against basketball and football, and the fact that the NCAA knew but didn't do anything. And did Izzo know? Did he not know? Did D'Antonio know? Did he not know? Mark Hollis is gone. He stepped down as the athletic director. He resigned. The president resigned. This is going to be, as much as I hate to say it, a lengthy process. And I don't know how long it'll take before we get a clear picture. But yeah, I don't really know what else to say right now. I'm in kind of wait and see what happens, what comes out, like everybody else is. It's one of those, people are calling for the death penalty for Michigan State, and if the allegations come out as true, 100%. And those people who know me, I will bleed green and white until the day I die. But this kind of stuff is absolutely disgusting. I can't even fathom a thought of what's going to happen, what has happened, what went through the heads of Travis Walton and Adrian Payne and Keith Appling and all these football players who have allegations against them. I can't even fathom a thought. This could very well end up like the Penn State or the Baylors. This could be the third big, massive culture change at a power university in the last decade or so. And based on the allegations, it needs to be done. And I hope that everybody participates in the investigation. I hope they don't hide anything, because the truth will set you free, and that's what Michigan State needs to do. They need to tell the truth, what they know, what they didn't know, and move on and cope and help everybody involved, survivors, the courageous women who have told their stories. Michigan State needs to help them. They need to help everybody in a sense. So I'm in wait and see mode of how that goes. Everybody else is in wait and see mode how that goes. I don't even know what to say. I'm just going to leave it at that. I'm at a loss for words. I don't even know. Back to the rankings, you have Xavier at number 6, 19-3, Kansas 7, Cincinnati 8, Arizona 9, and Texas Tech rounding at the top 10. That's the AP top 25. You've got Auburn, surprise, at 19-2. The Tigers, leading the SEC, are knocking on the door. Knocking on the door of the top 10. Sitting at 11. St. Mary's, they're climbing. They're at 13. Rhode Island had a bit of a scare against Duquesne's this past week. They hold tight at 22. Nevada fell out. They've lost a couple straight. So they're gone. Michigan, 24. Arizona State, creeps back in at 25. Kentucky's back in at 21. North Carolina falls to 19 following their loss to NC State, who have already beat North Carolina, Duke, and Arizona. But they didn't receive any votes. Oh, they received 5 votes in the AP poll. And then in the coaches' poll, they didn't get a damn thing. Didn't get a damn thing. And they've got wins over 3 teams that no one else can say they have. Incredible. Incredible. So with each passing week, these rankings get more and more intriguing. You've got one, quote unquote, technically you have 3, quote unquote, mid-majors. Some people consider St. Mary's a mid-major, but Gonzaga they don't, even though they're in the same conference, which I don't get. I don't understand it. Rhode Island, Atlantic 10. And again, people who know me know I hate the term mid-major because of the level of parity in the country, for one. The fact that I look at it as it's college basketball. And if you're a good team in the SWAC, for example, and you beat a team who's in the Big Ten, the better team won that night. I don't look at it as, obviously it's going to be an upset to an extent because everybody's going to favor the power conference team. But it's a college basketball game. The better team won, so Team A beat Team B. Don't look at it as mid-major upsets, power conference foe. No. They won a game. Better team won. That's what it is. I look at it as from team 1 to team 351. I hate the term mid-major. You're a college basketball team. Simple as that. Simple as that. The conferences, I don't care. Whatever. I hate the term mid-major. And I get why people use it. I get it. Comes down to several different factors. But I don't use it. I will not use it. And I've tried to separate myself from the term this season and just consider every team as a college basketball team. I think that's the way it should be. But that's just me. That's just me. So for those keeping track at home, you have 2, maybe 3 mid-majors, quote unquote, 2.5 if you consider Gonzaga one or not. I don't know. You've got 25 of 351 teams ranked at the end of the day. That's what it is. Every week, especially in the Big 12, teams just beat up on each other. They feast on each other. And it causes a lot of shakeup every week. And it really makes everything that much more exciting. And I love it. I absolutely love it. But touched on parity a little bit in that little rant about rankings. As of Saturday, every single team has a win. It may not be against Division I teams, but every single team in the country has a win. And it is exciting. Shout out to Mississippi Valley State. At home, picked up a 72-67 win over then 6-1 in conference play, the Jackson State Tigers, who fall to 6-2. Kylan Phillips went for 23 points, 6 rebounds, with 7 of 9 from the floor, 6 of 7 from the free throw line, game high, 23 points. Jordan Evans went for 13 points. Dante Scott had 11 and 5. As a team, the Delta Devils were 52% from the field, over 58% from three-point range, 68% from free throw. That's okay. It's iffy. Jackson State, 7 of 14 from the free throw line. 50%. They lost by 5. You make 5 of your free throws that you missed, and you push it to overtime and have a chance to win. That's why they call free throws free. You got to hit them. You've got to hit them. But with the Delta Devils picking up that elusive first win, every team has a win. And now you've still got Delaware State, Chicago State, without wins over Division I opponents. But hey, if they're in the win column, everybody's in the win column. And the second half of conference races now are going to heat up. And before I came on, I went through every conference and looked at how many teams in each conference were either at or better than 500 in conference play All but 3 conferences have at least half their teams at 500 or better. This is coming into Monday night's action. Not factoring in Monday's games, because I'm recording this Monday night. The Conference USA has 6 teams at or above 500 of 14. The Horizon League only has 4 of 10. And the Sun Belt has 4 of 12 teams at or above 500. But they have 1 team at 4 and 5. They've got 3 teams at 4 and 6, which just so happens to include the UT Arlington Mavericks, a team that everybody was high on coming into the season, myself included. But in every other conference, everybody has at least 50% of their teams at or above 500, which is going to create some incredible races down the stretch for seeding in the conference tournaments, for the race for the regular season title. It's gonna be a lot of fun. Like, coming into Monday's action, 10 of the 15 teams in the ACC are at 500 or better. 6 of the 9 teams in the Big West, 500 or better. 7 of the 10 in the Missouri Valley, 500 or better. We're gonna be in for a ton of exciting conference races. One of them being the Southland Conference. 8 of the 13 teams get in the tournament. They have 8 teams at or above 500. We are going to get some fantastic basketball over the last month of the regular season and into the conference tournament. So the month and a half leading up to Selection Sunday. Buckle up. Get your popcorn and buckle up, because we're in for a wild ride. This is going to be fun. This is what you want to see in conference play. You want to see a lot of teams have a shot at their respective conference titles in the second half of conference play. And you're going to have a team that in a few conferences that runs away with everything. Like, you look at the Sun Belt with Louisiana Raging Cajuns. They are just rolling right now. They are the team to beat in the Sun Belt, and it's not even close. You look at the Big Ten. We mentioned this before. You've got Purdue at 10-0. You've got Ohio State at 9-1. Michigan State at 8-2. You've got Nebraska in 4th at 7-4. I don't think many people had Nebraska in 4th in their preseason rankings, which comes back into last week, where preseason rankings are just noise. That's all they are. They're noise. They're noise and clickbait. That's all they are. Those 2 things. Okay, I'm going to add a third. Noise, clickbait, and motivation for the teams. Now that's the final list. That's all preseason rankings are. Noise, clickbait, and motivation. And I think we can see that with the fact that every conference race is so tight right now. There are so many teams that are within striking distance and have a realistic shot at winning the regular season title, securing at least a berth into the NIT, which for some is fantastic. And it also puts them in a favorable position to make the big dance. And for these one-bid conferences, that's huge. That is huge. That's huge. But we're going to shift a bit to the Summit League, and comes back into preseason rankings again, and what they stand for. Coming into the season, there was a team in particular that many projected to be a sleeper in the conference. And they started out well last season at conference play and kind of fell off towards the end. They flared out a bit, and early exit conference tournament, that's all she wrote. This season, the script is flipped almost. They had an up and down non-conference slate. They limped out of the gate in conference play, lost 4 of their first 5, but have since won 3 straight to get back to 4-4. They sit in 4th place right now in the 8-team league. The Denver Pioneers are starting to turn some heads. Like I said, 1-4 in their first 5 in conference play, 3-0 since. 5 of their first 8 games have been on the road, with a home-heavy schedule the rest of the way in conference play. There's no reason to say that the Pioneers can't keep turning things around and continue to make noise into the conference tournament and even make a run at the Summit League title. They split their season series with South Dakota, who are arguably the top team in the conference right now. Picked up a win over them in their last outing to earn that split. Over the last 3 games, their big guys have been a factor, but Coach Billups and company haven't really relied solely on them to carry them to wins. Senior big man Daniel Amigo, 12.7 points, 5.3 rebounds over their 3-game win streak. Then you've got junior guard Joe Rosga, 16 points, 3 assists. Respectable numbers. They're not going to blow you away. But over their 3-game winning streak, they've played Oral Roberts, Western Illinois, and South Dakota. They had 3 different players in double figures against Oral Roberts. That's a win. 4 in double figures against Western Illinois. Another win. 4 in double figures against South Dakota. Another one, as DJ Khaled would say. They've used their balance to carry them to wins. And I think they may have relied a little too heavy on their stars at the start of the season, which could have got them in a bit of trouble. But they're starting to find their groove at the right time. They're hitting their stride at the right time. And I was one of the people who bought into Denver coming into the season. And I got to be honest, it didn't look good. It didn't look good for a while. Like, they come in now at 10-12 on the season, 4-4 in conference play, like I said. They can make some noise. They can make some loud noise. You've got Rosga lead the team at 15.6 points a game, 4.3 rebounds, 2.8 assists. Amigo's not far behind at 15.1 points, just shy of 7 rebounds and 1.7 assists. And then the third musketeer of the group, the third star, Jake Pemberton, 11.5 points, 3.2 rebounds, 2.5 assists, 1.3 steals. The veteran is doing a little bit of everything on both ends of the floor. Then you add in young guys like Jake Krafka and Abiola Akintola. Probably butchered that name. I apologize. But they have that nice mix of veteran guys, young guys, Junior and Rosga. They're a team that has the talent, couldn't sustain it last season, and like I said, kind of flamed out in the end. This season, they had the talent, couldn't really put it together to start. saw themselves at 7-12, since reeled off 3 straight wins, and all of a sudden are in the top half of the Summit League and in a position to kind of make some noise, which is exciting, which is really exciting. There should be as one would say, there should be a palpable buzz around the Pioneers right now. And I get it. It's a 3-game winning streak. They're below 500 overall. They're at 500 in conference play. Let's pump the brakes a bit. There's a buzz around Denver right now. It may be quiet. It may be faint. But if you listen closely, if you look hard enough and listen closely, you can hear the buzz. And if they keep playing the way they have over the last 3 games, that buzz is going to get louder. Their bandwagon is going to fill up. Get on while you can. This team looks to be rounding into form, like many thought they would play like all season long. It's time to buy in. It's time to buy into the Denver Pioneers. You don't have to take my word for it. You don't really have to. Why listen? Why would you listen to a Canadian anyways? If I'm wrong, I'll apologize now, like I always do. I'm sorry. But I see this team rounding into form. I really do. But decide for yourself. Buy in or buy out. I'm buying in. I'm buying in. But that's all for this week's episode of the podcast. As always, be sure to follow us on social media for most of what you need in college basketball. It's hard to cover everything. We do our best with the limited team we have. The links to our profiles will be in the description below. Feel like a real YouTuber. Everything's in the description below. I will be back on Friday with Ryan Scarfone. We will look at the week that was and the weekend that will be. So be sure to check that out again. But until then, enjoy the week. Enjoy some more great college basketball that we will have. And I will talk to you on Friday. Cheers.